Hello, welcome to That VidBlaster Guy. That's me. I'm Tom Sinclair, That VidBlaster Guy. Delighted to be with you again today for another great edition. Well, we don't know if it's great or not. We won't know that till the end. We hope it's going to be a great one anyway. This was broadcast live, if you're not watching it live, on June 26th, 2013. And if you're watching us on YouTube, we invite you to come join us live. We're live Wednesdays at 3 o'clock Eastern and 8 o'clock in the UK. And we would be delighted to have you live. You can join in, chat, and all that other good stuff. It's fun. You know the routine. And if you're watching us live, thank you for watching us live. It's always so much more fun with live, and the chat room's filling up with folks. So we hope you'll join us in the chat, too, and chat around. All sorts of things happening in the VidBlaster world. And for those of you that have been following my show the last couple of weeks, I want to just say, number one, thank you for your care and concern that's been shown to me, because I have had some technical difficulties. And I thought, I thought I was pretty good at all this tech stuff, but why can't I get all this figured out? Well, it turned out after chasing bugs for 2 weeks that got progressively worse, I had a bad motherboard. And the motherboard finally just died. Kapow. Push the start button and nothing happened. No disk drive light, no monitor light, no nothing. It was dead. Only a year old. Fortunately, 3-year warranty. So I called on Monday and did some more troubleshooting with their tech. And the tech had me, basically strip the motherboard out of the case and replace every part. And the only part that didn't work was the motherboard. So yeah, I guess that's it. Send it back. But they sent me one the same day, so they're going to kind of cross in the mail. I had to put a little deposit down, but at least I'll get one. I'm expecting it tomorrow. So, fingers crossed, next week I'll have a fully functioning broadcast box. So you ask, well, what are you broadcasting on this week? It looks pretty similar. Got a little different background there. I was giving Dr. Campbell's background a little break and using Martin Kay's background today. But yes, this is a borrowed PC. This is actually a PC that I'm building for a client. And I thought, I've got it torture tested. Why not do a broadcast with it? What a great way to torture test it. So that they're not scheduled to get it until the end of next week. And even that's a flexible date. And so this gives me a great chance to play around and do some things with it. And of course, right now it's not all wrapped up. The case is off. The case is off, and all the guts are hanging out. But as you can see, hey, it looks great. It's doing okay here. But if you have a glitch, let me know. I'd like to know about it, especially before I send it to a client, because they're good people, and I want to do my very best for them. That's always the case. Today's show is going to be a lot of fun, I think. We've got some news from VidBlaster. I want to talk to you about a new capture card that I'm testing, and then do a demo of the instant replay system. So if you're interested in any of that, hang around. If not, we'll see you later. No, I'm just teasing. What's news? News is a couple 3 items of news, and let me bring in my breaking news here. VidBlaster is in, well, this is not news, but as many of you know, VidBlaster has introduced beta version 3. We're up to 3.1 right now. And if you're interested in getting this beta, you can go to the VidBlaster forum and go to the download section and download it. And if you've never used VidBlaster, if you don't have it on your PC, you can download a free trial version that will work beautifully. It is equivalent to the studio version, and you can look up on the website what that means. I'm not going to go through that right now. But that trial version you can test and play with, and it just has a little watermark here in the top corner. That's the only thing that keeps it from being other than fully functional. Why was I telling you that? Oh, I know. It's still a beta, and as a result, there's some bugs that are being worked out and some features being added. So it's not a complete version. But I would encourage you folks that are regular VidBlaster users, download it and give it a try. Take a look at it. You may have to register or re-register or something like that to be able to use it. And you may have to re-register when you go back to version 2. Somebody was asking me the other day, why is all this registration stuff with VidBlaster? Seems like you're always exchanging codes and swapping keys. And part of it is, it's not our fault. It's software piracy. It's all the folks that are using the cracked versions and are cheating, essentially. Stealing is what they're doing. They're benefiting from somebody else's hard work and expertise and genius. And that's not fair. And so Mike Versteeg, the developer of VidBlaster, is trying to protect himself and his company, has put in some of these safeguards to protect him. Unfortunately, it means that we have to endure this registration process. But, you know, for what it's worth, know that that you're helping him out and protecting him. And that means that the money that you know, that he gets the revenue that he deserves, and here's the big thing: he can continue to develop VidBlaster. That's the big key. Because boy, I don't know about you, but my shopping list of features that I'm waiting for is getting longer and longer. It's kind of like the more you show me you can do, the more I can think of I want. As you think about it, if you're a registered user, you can go into the forum and go to the features section and suggest some new features too. And periodically, Mike will even put a call out for features. One of the things that I found out with version 3 today, this is not version 3, sorry, that's just a pen I picked up, was that this is a borrowed PC, and my other PC, as you recall, is in 1,000 pieces, including the hard drive that has all my profiles on it. All my profiles from the shows that I've been doing on version 3, and I've been doing version 3 shows for probably 5 or 6 weeks, maybe longer. We're up to version 3.11 now. And so I found in my Dropbox a profile from early May. And I loaded it here. And it was a version, it must have been a version 2 profile, because it tried to load some of the modules that have had their names changed. And so when I was loading modules that, you know, the old video effect module, which allows you to do chroma key and picture-in-picture and, you know, side-by-side and the quad shot and all that stuff, that's now been renamed overlay module. Excuse me. Now I'm sitting here looking at overlay module on the screen. The video effect module has now been labeled the effects module, which makes more sense. It's easier to write when you get into the API. But the old profile didn't understand that, and so it was going crazy. And at one point I added a player, but remember the player's been modified, rebuilt. So the new player and the old player to VidBlaster were two different types of modules, so both of them got labeled Player 1. Anyway, that's a bug that I'm sure will be either fixed or else we'll all know about it, and so we won't do it. So if you're thinking about using version 3, or if you're using version 3 and are thinking about using one of your version 2 profiles, don't do it. It probably just won't work. You'll have to rebuild them from the ground up. But that's not a bad thing. Rebuilding profiles gives you a chance to streamline them, to better understand what you're doing, to remember why you made some of the decisions you did. I mean, I've got a profile now that I've probably got, counting up modules, you know, maybe 30 modules going. And I'm using the broadcast version. And so the interface looks a little differently. I'll show you my interface here in just a minute when we get into the instant replay. So the modules look slightly different, but they function the same way. So that's the news on VidBlaster version 3. Somebody asked the other day, hey, Tom, when is an official release going to be issued? We will kind of have a heads up on that, because frequently when Mike's getting ready to release a trial version, he'll release what he calls a release candidate, which is the latest beta that he thinks is really, really stable. And he sends it out there and he says, okay, guys, shoot bullet holes in it. So that's when you see the RC, or the release candidate, come out, you know we're getting really close to an official release, and that's when you want to pay special attention. That also means if you've got a version 2 license that's more than a year old, or a version 1 license for that matter, you'll want to upgrade. In fact, you'll have to upgrade in order to be able to use version 3, except other than the trial edition. But if you need help with that, I'd be happy to help you. That would be my pleasure. Full disclosure, I'm an authorized VidBlaster reseller. I'm also a custom PC builder. specifically for using VidBlaster. So if you're interested in those things or buying VidBlaster, I can help you with that. Enough of the commercial. Let's see, what else is on the list? Being released soon, it was supposed to be released in May, but got delayed. You know how hardware delays are, is the new Logitech C930E webcam. And for those of you that do, kind of talking head shows like this one, you'll want to pay attention to that because that cam's apparently crammed full with all sorts of new features. But let me go outside of the talking head part for just a second. If you are doing any other kind of fixed camera broadcast, let me put it that way. So, we're going to eliminate sporting events for just a second. But let's say you're doing a church service, or you're doing a panel discussion, or you're doing, something where you've got basically a stage or a wide screen that you need to capture. This camera will allow you to capture wider than the traditional widescreen, and you can select the characters in the screen and capture just their video and then blow that up as full screen. And from what I understand, depending on how you do it, you still get high definition video. You know how normally when you try to capture something and then when you blow it up, it becomes pixelated because you've basically, you haven't really magnified it. You've just sort of made it bigger. And so the little teeny blocks, the little teeny pixels are now big pixels. Well, with this one, it starts out with little teeny weeny pixels. And so when you blow it up, they're still small enough so that you're getting a good resolution. So that's what's to look forward to, I think, in the C930E. And I'm thinking seriously about getting one. Not that I have a panel discussion here, but that I'd like to try it out and know what it's about. Because people ask me all the time, and I'd like to at least appear intelligent. And the last other piece of news, which I think is going to be really a lot of fun, is I have been, cell phone's rattling here, sorry about that. Remember to turn your cell phone off before broadcast. You would think I would know that by now. Coming up next week, next Tuesday, I've been asked to be a guest on Stephen Haywood's Broadcast Now show, part of his Tech Buzz network. So if you want to tune in, I think it's 2 o'clock Eastern. The Tech Buzz, TheTechBuzz.net is the URL. And I'll put that in the show notes. It'll be just same old me saying same old stuff. Same old dumb stuff. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so I think we got all our newsy stuff out of the way here. One of the things that I've been excited by lately, and I'm checking my notes here to make sure I'm not skipping something. One of the things I've been excited by lately is the new immigration. And no, I'm not talking politics. I'm not talking about immigration into the United States of people, but rather the immigration into the United States of capture cards. There is a line of capture cards that was created in China that have made their way like little monarch butterflies across the sea and have come to the U.S. And they are being distributed in the U.S. by a company called vPrime. That's the letter V and then the word prime, P-R-I-M-E, vprime.com. And they have the Magewell series. And this particular card, and I wish I had my other cameras working today again. Sorry, borrowed PC, don't have the capture card installed in it yet. But this is the Magewell, the vPrime 06AE-Pro card. And you say, okay, Tom, you're showing us a card. Oh, actually, this is not this is not that card. Sorry about that, folks. This is the 1204. You'd think I'd get something like that straight the first time. Golly, sorry about that. Well, pretend like, that's terrible. Pretend like this with a card. It's about the same size. It's a PCIe card. But the beauty of it here, I do have the breakout cable. The beauty of it is, look at all these connectors. Now, it's standard definition, but 6 ports of capture on this rascal. 6 ports of standard definition capture. And I've tested it, and it works beautifully. In fact, I just shipped a PC out yesterday with one in it to a client, and they're going to love it. We were talking 4-port capture card, maybe the Osprey, and then this one came on the market, and I said, let's take a gamble and let's see if this works. If it doesn't work, I'll ship you an Osprey and you can swap it out, and I won't charge you anymore. But this thing retails for under $500 in the U.S. 6 ports, standard definition capture. 6 ports. Wow, what can you do with 6 ports of standard definition? And as you'll notice, each, and it's nicely, oh man, I wish I could zoom it in. Let me show you what I got. It's number one, it's nicely banded. It's not fully sleeved. Can I give you some sort of, let me give you just a little different background here and see what we can do. I want to cut out all the good stuff and try to get out of the shot so I can show you in the background. That is one channel with video as the yellow, of course, and then the red and white are stereo audio per cam. And we've got that for 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice how nicely sleeved they are so they stay together. 5, 6. Not only that, but each little card, each little dongle, I don't know if you can see, the camera probably won't focus that well, is individually numbered. So this is number 3, number 2, number 1. I can go on and on. But actually, I can only go on 3 more times. But anyway, you get the drift. But the idea is that you don't have to guess, you don't have to mark it, you don't have to tape it. It's already done. They're already sleeved together. And I tried it, played with it. It's great. It does not come if you don't have a BNC connector on your camera, and if you're using RCA standard definition, you will need to buy separately the BNC to RCA adapter. But you can buy 20 of them on eBay for $5. But you just can't buy them like that. Although I have found them at Walmart, at Radio Shack in a pinch. But this is definitely worth a look. If you have questions about it, let me know. And I'm going to be putting this one in my studio PC when I get it rebuilt and doing some more testing with it. It looks pretty promising. Now this guy that I tried to pass off as a standard definition card just a little while ago actually is the 1204, and it has 4 ports of standard definition. It has a 2 different. Sorry, my brain just went blank. 2 different pigtails. What do we call them? Breakout cables. Thank you. 2 different breakout cables. One is for 4 channels of standard definition, and the other is for 2 channels of high definition. So if you're not sure and you're trying to bridge the gap, do we want to do standard definition? Do we want to do high definition? I want to future-proof my PC as I build it? Well, here's a way to help in that transition. It's 4 channels of standard definition, 2 channels of high definition, and the high definition, I believe, gives you the choice of HDMI or component input. So that's pretty cool, and that's available from vPrime as well, vprime.com. And they're in Beaverton, Oregon, I believe. And I've chatted with those guys, and they're really nice, very helpful. Tell them Tom Sinclair sent you, and they may give you an extra nickel or something. I don't know. All right, so let's go back to the official look here. Oh yeah, that's so much. Oh, it's not much better to be in this room. Much better to be in this room. So that was our capture cards. And I will be putting the 6 definition card in my studio PC here in the future. In fact, I'm going to get bold, and I'm going to try to put both those cards in. So I will have 12 ports of capture, 10 of them standard definition, and 2 high definition. You say, why in the world would you need 12 ports of capture card. Well, I wouldn't. But I'd like to test them. And the 1204, I've actually, I don't own it. I've got it on loan from vPrime. And Martin K is in the chat room, and he's correcting me, which I appreciate. And he says the HD is the DVI style connector, not the SGA, not the VGA, and it can input HDMI, DVI, VGA, YOU component, and even composite standard definition, and it's YUV component. So, thank you, Martin, for straightening that up, and thank you for popping in today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them into the chat room. I'm trying to keep my eye on the chat as we go through, because I want to be responsive to those of you that have shown enough respect to show up in live, and I appreciate that. So that's the vPrime, and go check out their website. They have got, I don't know that they have the full line of Magewell cards yet, but they do have what I think are going to be the more popular ones. I don't think they're going to be stocking them very deeply. I think they said they were going to try to keep 2 or 3 of each kind on hand, but they anticipated only about a 2-week backlog if they had to go back to China and get some more. Comment here in the chat room, why 12 ports? Well, because you can. Well, absolutely. You got to have the fastest and the mostest. You can always, what can you do if you weren't limited? For example, I've been out at a ballpark doing soccer shoots, and I have my good old Osprey 450E 4-port capture card in there. And, I'm setting up cams, and I'm thinking, I just wish I had a 5th cam because I could do this. Or if I had 2 more cams, I could do that. Some of it means, I'd have to get a camera operator. But how many times could I make great use of a static shot? I would love to be able to set up some cams down at field level, pointing back up towards the crowd so that I can get crowd reaction. Doesn't have to be a manned camera for that. So if you've got the cable and the cam and the tripod, what a great opportunity to help bring your viewers more into the experience by showing them what other people are doing and seeing. And that's one way to do it. The other thing is, since the cards have, and sorry to get back on this subject, but I just can't help it, I'm excited about it. Since they have the ability to pick up audio for each cam, you can bring that audio in. You don't have to bring it back into your PC, but you can bring it back into your mixer. So if you're taking the audio from the camera, and let's say you've got a camera that's down on the sideline, even if it's pointed back up towards the stands, it's going to get a unique audio feed as compared to a microphone that you might have up in the press box in order to get crowd noise. You're getting a different audio experience down there. And so I think that can really add to the experience of your viewer, or if you've got cheerleaders, or if you've got a band, or something like that, you're going to be able to pick that audio up so much better by having something that's closer to it. Bands are probably really tough. And Tommy House says that it's great for nat sound, and I think he means natural sound, but he's a broadcaster. I'm not. And they always use all these acronyms. Okay. And Martin K is saying in the chat room that the 1204 will also accept the embedded HDMI audio. So, good deal. All right, and that's the 6-port capture card that's 4 standard definition, 2 high definition. So finally, after years of waiting, we're getting some cards that give us some flexibility at prices that are more affordable. Let me put it that way. I mean, I remember starting out. If you haven't, go back, and I please invite you to go back and look at my studio tour that I did. I think it was early this year, And part of the studio tour was the capture card graveyard of capture cards that I've purchased, trying to find that sweet spot between lots of ports and not lots of money. And I would think I'd found it, and I would test it under, extreme circumstances. 4 cameras, shooting soccer, which is a quick movement sport, and the cards would flake out, crash, skip, whatever. And finally just gave up and said, okay, I'll go with the $1,000 Osprey 450. I'll save up my money and do that. And never regretted it. But now we've got a 6-port option, so we got 50% more ports for 50% less dollars. Hey, that's a deal. I like that. And it's sold in the United States, so we're in good shape. And Joe DeMax is pointing out in the chat room that the Blackmagic DeckLink Quad is $1,000, and it's high definition, mini SDI. But for those of you doing sports from a remote location, a lot of times you don't have the bandwidth to stream high definition. So this is going to be a great option, I think, especially for you sporting enthusiasts. Might be for church folks too. I was just about to say I can't imagine using it in a studio, but I'm looking around. 1, 2, 3, 4 cams set up right now, plus this cam, so 5 cams, but this one's a USB cam. But I would gladly add another cam or two to the studio if I could. And you say, why would you want to add extra cams? Well, I'll tell you, this studio is not very large. And if I want to rearrange cameras, it means, taking down a tripod, moving it over, setting it up, moving all the cables, moving all the cords, trying to find a place to fit it in. But I've got a tripod over here to my left that stays here. It's a fixed, it's actually a still camera tripod, so it's not intended to be panning back and forth. And it's fixed here on my desktop. Generally, that's the shot that I show you when I want to show you what's going on with my mixer or anything else on the left side of my desk. Here on the right side, I've got a Canon HF 100, Canon Vixia HF 100 that is hooked in, again, standard definition, the component video, and it shows the right side of my desk. I've got a Canon GL1 that's sitting way across the room to give the wide shot that includes all my backdrop for times where I want to show off, not show off, you know me, I'm not pretentious, but where I want to illustrate how my backdrop is done. I've got that cam set there, and I can adjust the focus when I want to focus on something else. And then I've got another Canon HF 100 directly in front of me, because there are times where I just want to be able to show the boom mic, which is just out of the camera right up here, as a way of illustrating that. And, you can't have too many cameras. You can't have too many cameras. And having extra capture cards just makes it that much easier. That much easier. All right. So I think we've capture carded that to pieces. And that's vprime.com in the States. Not sure who the European distributor for Magewell is. If anybody knows, if you'll put it in chat, I'll share it with everybody else here too. Because a lot of the videos, these videos are watched. We'll have, when I check the specs later from DeCast, the analytics, there'll be between 40 and 60 folks watching live. But then in the next, 2 or 3 weeks, another 200 or 300 folks will watch the YouTube videos, and over time, a lot of the videos are getting thousands and thousands of views. If you're thank you, Martin. If you're in Europe, you want to go to zenvideo.co.uk. That's Z-E-N, Z as in zebra, zenvideo.co.uk. And that's where you can get the Magewell line of cards in Europe and the United Kingdom. So the answer to that question, thank you very much. All right, well, let's move along a little bit here in our broadcast. And at the tail end, we're going to open up for, call-ins. And this will be calling over cell phones, so I know that eliminates some of you guys that are watching from outside the U.S. And I guess we need to do that on a Skype sometime, because I'd love to talk to Andrew out of Melbourne live at 5 in the morning and see what he sounds like. That would be fun. Let's move on to the next segment here today and take a look at the instant replay. Now, first, a little history. Back 3 years ago, several folks on the VidBlaster forum, including me, encouraged Mike Versteeg to include instant replay as a feature in VidBlaster. And, at first, in sort of typical Mike fashion, he said, can't possibly do that. No way to do that. No way to do that. No way to do that. And then in typical Mike fashion, he got to thinking about it. His mind spun around a couple times, and he figured out an easy way to do it. I don't know if it was easy. It appeared to me to be easy, but shoot, who knows what takes behind the scenes. But he figured out a way to implement that in VidBlaster. And basically, it was just sort of a 30-second delayed video, so that you could actually adjust whether you were going to see what happened 30 seconds ago or 15 seconds ago or 5 seconds ago, whatever. So basically, you've just essentially got whatever happened 30 seconds ago, you can show again now. But it didn't store it. You couldn't slow it down. You couldn't speed it up. You couldn't switch. Well, you could switch cameras with it, but it was limited, and it was I think it was RAM based. So if you were doing high definition or even full definition standard, it had problems. You had to be very judicious with how you did it, and you couldn't use, if you were showing 4 cameras, it would not. I think it would bomb out RAM-wise after 2 cams, something like that. But it was so long ago, I don't remember the specifics. But that was instant replay, or what was called video replay 1. It's kind of like World War I. World War I wasn't called World War I until World War II. So instant replay, video replay 1 was video replay. And with the problems with RAM, Mike redid it and basically made it disk-based. So instead of storing the recorded video in RAM, he stored it on a hard drive. And that seemed to worked pretty well, and that was video replay 2. But it was the same principle. You got the last 30 seconds, no slow-mo, no ability to stop a frame and examine it, anything like that. And that was great. That was better than what we had. Especially if you had a second hard drive, you didn't have to worry. If you had 4 cameras, you could put all 4 of them dumping temporary files onto that hard drive, and you were fine. But we grew tired of that, and the raucous crowd that we are, we lobbied for not just instant replay unlimited on disk. We wanted something with slow motion, something that could save clips so we could watch them later, the holy grail of instant replay slow motion. So we lobbied Mike. In fact, at one point, Mike was doing one of his famous, "What would you like me to work on now?" requests in the VidBlaster forum. Forum, by the way, is forum.vidblaster.com. That's how you can get to it. And a lot of sports folks said, we want you to do slow motion instant replay. There's got to be a way to do it. And he knew it was going to be a big task. And nevertheless, he said he would do it. And he started on it. And there was some great help for some folks literally all over the world that do a lot of sports that know how to do instant replay. They were putting input into it. And he made a partial release about this time last year, excuse me, with the, excuse me, just a second. Sorry about that. Got a little frog in my throat. He released part of it last year. And this is a sort of a non-standard VidBlaster function because it's not just one, but a series of modules. The first module is called the replay controller module, and that's sort of the heart of the system. That's what allows you to mark an in point and an out point, and to actually have a clip now set up that you can display live or recorded live later and adjust the speed of the replay. With that came the need to have a source for what the replay controller was storing. And so, excuse me, there was something, another module developed called the replay source. And with replay source, for each camera, you would have a replay source. So if you had 4 cameras, you'd have 4 replay sources, but only one replay controller. And that's what came out about a year ago. And then with version 3, I guess it was version 3, I'd have to check to know for sure, but in the last couple of months, the third part of this 3-part replay process came out, and that's called the replay playlist. And that allows you to take clips out of the replay controller and put them into a playlist. And you can have more than one playlist. So if you want to do a halftime montage of the highlights from the first half, and you want to do it for the red team, you've got all their great plays in replay playlist number 1, and for the blue team, you've got all their great playlists, and you've stored those in replay playlist number 2. So you can go back through and play those either selectively or automatically. And we're going to demonstrate that in just a second. And keep in mind, I'm not a replay controller, so we'll have to you'll have to give me a little grace on this one. So for each camera, you would have a source, and all the sources would come together into the replay controller, and then out of the replay controller, you could pull those clips, and it's simply a drop and drag into the playlist and have them play either individually or play as a playlist. That is, you could just start the first one, and then they automatically would slip from one to the other. So let me show you what I've set up, and I had intended to sort of try to put this together before the show today, and 1,000 different things came up and kept me from, not the least of which is that I didn't have any screen recording software on this loaner PC. But let me show you what I've put together here, and we'll take a look. What we've got there, and I know that's ugly, is 2 cameras, essentially. They're actually players, but we're going to pretend like they're cameras. There's player number 3, which is here on the left. That's me. And player number 4 here on the right. That's my son, Jordan. And the aspects ratio is wrong because this was the only video I could find that really could be useful for something like this. So just ignore the aspect ratio if you would. Directly below camera 1 is replay source number 1. And below camera 2 is replay source number 2. Now here in either one of the replay sources, I can right click and it brings up a menu. And in this case, video source allows me to choose what the source for this module is going to be. And I've chosen player 3, aka camera 1. And I'll go back into that. Temporary folder, and this is important. This is a disk-based system. It's not being stored in RAM. It's not being stored out on the cloud somewhere. It's on the hard drive. And the PCs that I'm building for folks in sports that are going to be using instant replay, we're putting extra drives in there so that they can temporarily store all this stuff onto those drives and won't max out their main drive. So we would select. Let's do it. I want to reset to default and show you how we select. So we're going to go temporary folder, select, and that folder jumped outside of the screen, so let's pull it back in. There we go. And I'm going to scroll up to the top and collapse C and click on E and select OK. So what I've basically told this is, since I have a blank hard drive built into this system, I've now said use that hard drive as a scratch drive, as a temporary storage drive. And I've already done that here for the replay source number 2 as well. Here on the replay controller, we've got a series of knobs and buttons and timers and all that sort of stuff. The timers here on the top are for the duration, total duration of the amount of time that we are running and using Instant Replay. It's 0 now because we haven't started it. And then the time on the left basically is the time of when that clip occurred. And we can go back in time by drawing this bar back to the left, or we can go forward in time. And I know you can't go forward in time, but it'll make more sense in just a second. Live, and in fact, let's go live, and we'll get everything pumping there. And you notice that both of our replay sources are now populated with video. The End button allows me to mark an end point. And you say, well, hold on a second, Tom, you haven't selected a camera. You haven't selected a camera angle. Well, actually, I'm selecting both camera angles right now. In fact, if I had 5 cameras, I would be selecting all 5 camera angles, assuming that each one had a replay source set up for it. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. I can mark an endpoint right now and say, no, that's not what I wanted. I want to mark another endpoint. And I can keep marking an endpoint until I'm ready. Let's say I want to go all the way up to the person on the right clicks 10, okay. And now I'm going to get them when the clip ends at 3, so I'm going to mark an out point. So now I have a clip. And the end point was marked at 46 seconds. That was the point in the video where we started. And the duration was 6 seconds. All right. Now I'm going to go back to live. I'm going to look again. I'm going to watch on the right side. When he gets to 7, I'm going to click in. No, that's not what I want. I want to go to 10, so I'm going to click in again. I'm going to wait till the person on the left gets up to 5, and then I'm going to click out, 4, 5, out. So I now have another clip. And let's get 2 more clips going. So I'm going to look on the right side. I'm waiting for 5, in, and you can press in as many times as you want until you get to the point where you really want to capture it. And this is a long one because this is a fight that broke out, and I want to record the whole thing and show it later. So now everybody's being pulled apart and they're walking to their own side. So that's a 16-second clip. And then we're going to do one more clip. I'm watching on the left side for 5. Nope, I missed it. No, that's right. It was a fumble, and I didn't get it. So we're going to have to wait for the next play to start. Here comes the next play. In. Got it. I perfectly timed my in on that one. And actually, I could have done my in sooner and out on 5. So I've now got 4 clips. I'd really like to take clip number 2 and put it in the playlist. So I'm going to swing it over there. You see it still stayed over here in the replay controller. And clip number 4, I want to put that over here in the playlist as well. But if I were doing this live, I wouldn't be just saving these forever. I would want to show them. So let's queue up clip number 1, and notice down here in my replay sources that both of those have kind of frozen at the beginning. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to just select number 1 for a minute. And oh, this is the last part I haven't showed you about, the effect module. I've just set it up for a source overlay, and then source number 1 is going to be the replay controller, which is currently set for number 2. So if I change it from 1 to 2 here, you'll see it'll change 1 to 2 there. But we'll go back to 1. And if I was going to make this live, I would click this, and then this would be the shot that you would see. Let me come back to my screen capture picture. And I'm going to tell this one, all right, we're going to go live in 3, We'll start playing it. Let's take it down to about 50% speed. 3, 2, 1. Now we're live with that one. And I want to switch cameras, so I'm going to switch up to the other camera at the same time. And they're perfectly in sync. And then back to the first camera for the celebration. And then we are out, and I'm going back to a live camera. And then I'm going to click live on my replay controller because I want to be able to pick up the next thing that happens on the field. And you can see my camera 2 and my source 2 are synchronized again, which tells me that I'm live in both of those. Same thing on camera 1. Now let's say it's halftime and I want to show my clips. I'm going to select both those as a cut. You can see it's got clip 2, 8 seconds, source 1. Actually, the second one I want to be source 2, so I'm going to double click it. And then I'm going to queue it up. Let me go back to live there. And let's see if I play this, does that? No, I've forgotten. Hang on a second, folks. It will come to me. Let's try playing it there. Well, that's the thing about practice. Let's go back to live. We'll set everything else back the way it was. All right, what I've done here, and let's see if I've got it right. I've taken a clip and I've dragged it out of the replay controller and I've put it here into the replay playlist. It's an 8-second duration and its source is camera 1, and it's automatically going to cut and go to clip 4, which is 7 seconds, and I've told it I want camera 2. And let's say I want to do camera 4 again. Bring that over and go back to camera 1 and then have a cut. So I've got 3 clips, but 2 of them are the same shot, but from 2 different camera angles. And so let's see, let's go back to clip number 2, and we're going to go live with the effect. It's not going to move, but this is clip number 2, and then I'm going to click play, and now clip number 2 is going to play in slow motion. Let me come back here so you can see. Clip 2 is stored down here. It's going to go for its 8 seconds, and then it's going to shift over to clip number 4, camera 2. We'll go back live with that one. And when it's played its 8 seconds, it will go back to clip 4, camera 1. And then we'll go back to our live camera. And, all right, and let's see some suggestions from the chat room here. Okay, how did Tom load up the playlist? Okay. Oh, I see the answer here. Yeah, basically I just took a clip out of the playlist, selected it, and dragged it over. And they can be in any order. And I can select which camera shot I want by double clicking. I can select what transition I want with a cut. And somebody says play on take or cut would be nice. Agreed with that. Agreed with that. Can you designate speed in the playlist? The speed is set dynamically. That is, you get to choose down here and slow it down or speed it up to your heart's content at that point. So right now the speed is not set because remember the clip is just being stored. The clip is just video. It's full motion video. 30 frames a second, and you have the ability to come down here and to adjust the speed of it as you see fit during the course of that. What you can't do yet is, you can't save a playlist, and that's a feature that will be added in the not too distant future, my understanding. But for temporary purposes, you can leave your playlist present, and then after your event, come back and basically replay your playlist and record it. So you do have the ability, after a fashion, to save your playlist, but not as easy as right-clicking and selecting save and saving it to disk. The advantage, I think, and you know me, I'm kind of a silver lining kind of guy. The advantage to being able to replay the playlist later is that you can change the replay speed dynamically. And there's another question in the chat room about the replay speed. It says, is the toggle for the speed 100% to the right and 0 to the left? And that is correct. And it would be nice to have those indicators on the fader. So yeah, and actually it'll go down to 0 frames. It will freeze frame. So that's really nice. What it won't do, and let me go back to a clip here, and I'm just going to set that clip up on the screen. We're going to play it, and we're going to play it full throttle. Whoops, hold on a second here. Full throttle, and then I'm going to pull it back and slow it down. See if we can slow it all the way down to 1. That's right, to 1 frame a second. Now, I'm going to have to work on that one. Yeah, there's 1 frame. Be nice to go backwards. That's an enhancement that we will have to go for as time goes on. But I think the fun part about it is that it's very usable. It's 90% finished. It's got some polishing of rough edges to do and some minor features to be added, but the guts of it are there, and it's going to be huge. This is going to open up VidBlaster to small colleges. Certainly, high schools are already using it, and I think we'll find club ball, like what Andrea's doing down in Melbourne, will make increasingly more use of this. And who was it? I was talking to somebody with not the Major League Soccer, but the next level down below Major League Soccer in the U.S. And they were live streaming their games. And I called the guy and I said, what are you using to live stream? And he told me, and I said, what, can you do instant replay? And he said, boy, I wish. And I said, well, you can now. You can now. And he said, no, I can't. And I said, sure you can. VidBlaster will do live replay. And he said, yeah, but all we have are Macs. And I said, well, you could run it under boot camp or something. And he said, no, we don't do that. So anyway, for those of you that live in the Windows world, in the PC world, the world of sports has come to your desktop. I mean, anybody now can take a PC and VidBlaster and go to any local sporting event and say, hey, look, guys, let me stream your event. I'll bring the sponsors, I'll split the revenues with you, or you can give me part of your revenues, or which probably won't ever happen, or you can do pay-per-view or whatever, and we can do scoreboards, and we can do instant replay and multi-cameras, and it's a ton of fun. Now, yes, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work, having streamed hundreds and hundreds of games myself, not only as a cameraman, as a technical director, but also as an announcer and a statistician and all those other things. I can tell you, it's a lot of work. But it's very rewarding, and especially if you've got, especially if you have, as we say in the States or here in the South, if you have a dog in the hunt, and that means I had a child that was playing the game, and so I got to do that. It was just a lot of fun. It was great to participate at that level. So if you're watching this video on YouTube, or live for that matter, for the first time, and you're just being introduced to this, I would invite you to download the trial version, the trial edition, excuse me, of VidBlaster from VidBlaster, vidblaster.com, and put it on your laptop or on your home PC. It's not a crippled version. The only thing it has a logo, a watermark in the top right-hand corner. And you can play with the instant replay. You can play switching cameras. You can play doing video or doing chroma key like this. And it will be a lot of fun. And you can teach your kids how to do it. You can teach your wife how to do it. And keep the whole family together doing it, for sure. So that's the instant replay demo. I will polish up my replay skills and put up a tutorial here before too long. I probably won't show the tutorial during a regular show, but I will let you know when that's available on YouTube. If you'd like to get notices from us of when our live shows are going to be and anything else that might be going on with us, go to thatvidblasterguy.com, and there's a link on there. There's a link on there to submit your email address. I promise we won't spam you or sell your name or anything like that. But if you want to kind of have heads up of what's coming down the pike, we'd be happy to produce that heads up for you. And if you want to contact me for any reason, there's a contact form on there as well. I would like, if there's anybody here in the States that would like to call in for the last few minutes of this show with a question or a comment, I'm going to put the phone number in the chat room. Somebody asked me one time, well, Tom, why don't you just say the number? Well, it's because this is my cell phone, and I don't want to get a call in the middle of the night from somebody that wants to know how to make VidBlaster work better. So let's put that in the chat, and if anybody would like to call, we will take the call right now and talk to you and answer any questions. If you already own a licensed VidBlaster and you would like some support, cell phone support or email support from me directly, I would be happy to do that for you. There's a support function choice in our store where you can purchase, support for just small blocks of time, or if you just say, hey, I just want to be able to call you whenever I need you, you can buy support in annual increments. So I'm happy to help with that. A couple of people have taken advantage of it, and they, basically what happened was they had problems they couldn't get fixed. They knew it was going to take a while to get it all straight, and we got it straight, and we actually improved some things that they were doing other different ways, and they haven't called me back. I'm sure they will when they bump into the next question. Tom, how would we go about doing this? Well, think of VidBlaster as a giant, I grew up as a kid with something called an erector set. Did you have an erector set? Or maybe Lincoln Logs, or blocks, or Legos? And VidBlaster has got the tools. It's got all the little archways and the roof systems and all this stuff to build really, really great stuff if you know how to put it together. And that's the beauty of it, is that it's as simple as you want it to be, or it's as powerful as you want it to be. Well, nobody's taking me up on my call, so we'll just have to say maybe next time let's make sure I didn't just miss somebody. No. Okay. Not a problem. Oh, I spoke too soon. Looks like we've got a call coming in. Let's see if we can answer it here. Hang on one second.
Call from unknown caller. To accept, press 1. This call is now being recorded.
Oh. Hello? Hello?
Hello there, Tom.
Yes. You probably have to turn down.
I'm not hearing you on my phone. I'm having to listen to the video.
Uh-oh. Okay. Well, it's going to be about a 4-second delay.
Well, anyway, I'll ask you the question real quick, and then I'll unmute the video player. you were talking about the V Prime card, and I was looking at that on the screen, and under $500. Do you think that it's wise at this point to invest heavily in standard definition streaming, or do you think we still have another year or two of where that's going to still be pretty much the standard before bandwidth lets us really crank it up to high def?
Oh, that's a great question. That is a great question. Standard definition versus high definition. And, if we'd asked the same question a year ago, there would have been a very different answer. And a year from now, there'll probably be a very different answer. But I think there is still a place for standard definition. Number one, if you're paying for bandwidth, if you're paying to stream, if you're writing a check every month to stream, how critical is high definition? Think about this show for just a minute. How much more would it enhance my show to be in high definition? Yeah, you could see if I shaved or not. You could see finer detail. But is the content going to be more valuable because I'm in high definition as opposed to really good standard definition? That's number one. Number two, I will swear to you that there are some high definition streams that I think are worse than some standard definition streams. And it's not the resolution that's always the issue. A lot of times it's the camera, the glass, the lens, and the number of whatever you call those little thingies inside the camera that record the video, CCDs, I think. It depends on what you want. If I'm streaming a sporting event and I'm streaming it to an audience of moms and dads, some of which are at home because they couldn't make it, some of which are overseas, some of which are on the road traveling, they are going to be so glad to get the content that whether it looks good or great is not going to be the issue. They'll settle for good if the choice is good versus not at all. So I think with high definition, you can price yourself out of the ability to stream it. You've got cameras that are more expensive. You've got capture cards that are more expensive. You need a beefier PC. You got to have more bandwidth. All of those technical parts cost money. It's like the old saying when people were talking about hot rodding their cars. Speed costs money. How fast do you want to go? That is, how much do you want to spend to go fast? The question really for me is not whether it should be standard definition or high definition, but does your content require that you be in high definition to be effective? That's the question. And again, I think sometimes just framing the question helps the answer emerge. And for me, the answer is no. Standard definition is not essential. Standard definition is it's the icing on the cake. Of course, that's silly because I like the icing the best, but but you know what I'm saying. And I know there's going to be a 4-second delay in what we say.
Absolutely. Sorry about the delay there. For some reason, your audio is not coming through the earpiece but that's kind of where I'm at as well. I mean, it may be 4 or 5 years before high definition is as cheap as the standard definition equipment is now. And so you're probably right about that, especially with the content. But I appreciate you taking the question.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I think I had you turned down on the send. My bad.
Oh, that's it. I can hear you now.
You got me now. Okay. I had you set up as a mix minus, and I had that aux channel turned down for some good reason. Well, thank you for the. Oh, and who are you? Who's calling? Just first name's fine.
Oh, this is John Duvall.
Hey, John. Oh, okay. Good, John. Thank you. Great you called. And yeah, thinking about in a church situation, are you going to be showing a lot of text? Because high definition definitely makes text look better. There's no doubt about that. But how bad does this text look right here? It looks pretty readable. but it was designed to be readable at standard definition. You just have to be intentional in what you're doing. But John, thanks so much for calling, and appreciate you tuning in today, and thanks for following me on Twitter.
Well, I appreciate it. Same here, Tom. Thanks for all the work you're doing. Have a good one.
Take care. All right, that was John. Thanks. A new viewer and a new follower, and we really appreciate that. Well, folks, I think that brings us to the end of our time, unless somebody just is going to ring right in right away. Well, let's see what we missed in the chat room, because that was a great discussion on, boy, look at all that stuff on standard definition versus high definition. Things look much more readable in high definition. That's true. Most people using standard definition who think they need HD are not getting the best out of their standard definition by using the best standard definition equipment. Well, I think that's true. I think that goes back especially to cameras. And it can be in capture cards too. You know, if you're using a $1,000 Osprey card versus a $31 Easy Cap, both of which can be considered standard definition. All right, let's see. Very good. Very good. And there are others who say, yeah, they're watching video on their Retina MacBook Pro, and they don't want to watch standard definition. I understand that. You can get spoiled by it. Sure can. And again, it has to do with, is this casual streaming, or is this something I really, really want to watch? You know, it's my kid playing soccer, and I want to be able to see the game. Yep. And, you know, 5 years from now, it'll probably be a moot point. Well, no, the discussion will be HD versus 4K, but we're not ready for that discussion now. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate you popping by live. And if you watched us on YouTube, we appreciate that too. And for those of you live, hang around. We'll have a little pre-show coming up here in just a minute. But thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on That VidBlaster Guy.